Have you ever pondered about the accuracy of the historical facts we all grew up learning? Welcome to our journey into the labyrinth of historical myths and misinformation. Today, we're stepping back in time to separate fact from fiction, truth from tales. History, as we know, is written by the victors, and often this means that myths and misconceptions are woven into the fabric of our understanding. These myths, dressed up as facts, have been widely accepted as truth, trickling down from textbooks to dinner table conversations. They've shaped our perception of the past, influencing our understanding of the present. From the apple falling on Newton's head to the Great Wall of China being visible from space, we've all been misled by some of these historical tall tales. But fear not, we're here to set the record straight. Stay tuned as we reveal the truth behind these common historical misconceptions. Dive into the first myth. Is it true that Vikings wore horned helmets? Well, despite popular depictions, there's no historical evidence to suggest they did. Their helmets were practical, not decorative. Next, Napoleon Bonaparte. Was he really short? In reality, he was of average height for his time. The confusion arises due to the difference between English and French measurements. Now, let's talk about the Great Wall of China. Contrary to popular belief, you can't see it from space with the naked eye. Even astronauts say so. Moving on, did Columbus really discover America? Not quite. Native Americans had been living there for thousands of years, and even the Vikings beat him to it. Lastly, the Iron Maiden. While it's often depicted as a medieval torture device, its existence only dates back to the 18th century, way after the Middle Ages. Surprised? We're just getting started. Ever wondered if Thomas Edison really invented the light bulb? Well, it turns out that he didn't. Edison improved upon a 50-year-old idea. The original concept of the light bulb was conceived by Sir Hiram Maxim, who was never able to produce a practical design. Edison's genius was in creating a bulb that was reliable, long-lasting, and ready for the consumer market. Next, let's examine the notorious witch trials of Salem. Contrary to popular belief, none of the convicted were burned at the stake. They were hanged, and one was pressed to death. And about the Middle Ages, it's a myth that people believed the earth was flat. Educated folks knew it was a sphere. Also, despite the harsh conditions, not everyone died at 30. Many lived well into their 60s, provided they survived childhood diseases and wars. Lastly, the Declaration of Independence wasn't signed on July 4, 1776, but nearly a month later. Isn't it fascinating how history isn't always what it seems? Did Ben Franklin really discover electricity with a kite and a key? Well, not exactly. While Franklin did conduct experiments with electricity, the story of the kite and key is likely just that, a story. Next, we've all heard the tale of Paul Revere's midnight ride, alerting everyone that the British are coming. But in reality, Revere never completed his ride, and he certainly didn't shout that iconic phrase. Now, let's talk about the Trojan horse. It's a great story, but there's no concrete historical evidence of its existence. And Marie Antoinette saying, "Let them eat cake?" A common misconception. There's no proof she ever uttered those words. Finally, the myth that Albert Einstein failed mathematics in school couldn't be further from the truth. Einstein was actually a math prodigy from a young age. Misconceptions and myths abound in history, but with a little digging, we can uncover the truth. Let's delve into the final set of myths. Did George Washington have wooden teeth? As it turns out, this is one of those historical myths that have stuck around. In reality, the first president of the United States had dentures made from various materials, including ivory and human teeth, but not wood. Next, let's clarify the common misconception about medieval people being unhygienic. Contrary to popular belief, they valued cleanliness and bathed regularly when possible. Moving on to the pyramids of Egypt, it's a myth that they were built by slaves. Archaeological evidence shows that they were constructed by paid laborers. The story of the pilgrims hosting the first Thanksgiving is also a myth. Harvest festivals were common among Native American tribes long before the pilgrims arrived. Lastly, dropping a penny from a skyscraper won't be lethal. The penny's terminal velocity isn't fast enough to cause harm. In a nutshell, we've debunked 20 historical myths today, reminding us that history is an ever-evolving narrative. Remember to question, explore, and seek truth in all things.